The ruling Justice and Development Party has submitted a bill to Parliament consisting of 9 articles to regulate social media. If passed, the bill would require large social media providers to set up an office in Turkey and respond to orders to remove offensive content within 48 hours.
We aim to end insults and swearing on social media and harassment through this form of media, Özlem Zengin, the party's deputy group chair, told reporters in Parliament on July 21st. Zengin said that the bill is not meant to shut down social media providers, saying, "We are aware of its place in our lives, and we're also aware of the extent of its use." Zengin said its foremost aim is to designate a responsible representative for investigations and legal proceedings relating to offenses on social media. Social media providers would have 48 hours to respond to orders to remove offensive content. She added that if passed, the bill would require large social media providers to set up an office in Turkey. According to the bill, foreign-based social media providers that have more than 1 million visitors a day in Turkey will assign at least one representative in the country. Providers would also take necessary measures to store data on users in Turkey inside the country. Administrative fines for providers who fail to meet their obligations would also be raised to encourage compliance. Academic and cyber rights activist Yaman Akdeniz has commented to This Week in Turkey regarding the proposed bill and how it will affect the already restrictive environment on social media platforms, as well as what the bill entailed for freedom of expression and democratic standards in Turkey.
Good evening, Professor Akdeniz. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So if the draft bill proposed by the ruling Justice and Development Party passes in Parliament, how do you think it will further affect the already restrictive environment on social media platforms?
Yes, Turkey has been deploying various internet laws and amendments since 2007, and we published a recent report by our Freedom of Expression Association, in which we stated that over 408,000 websites are currently blocked from Turkey as of end of 2019. In addition to that, 130,000 URL addresses, internet addresses involving news articles, Twitter accounts, tweets, over 10,000 YouTube videos and Facebook content are currently blocked from Turkey. So Turkey is now introducing new measures on top of a already restrictive internet environment. For example, only in January 2020, subsequent to the Constitutional Court's decision, Wikipedia has been accessible again, and it has been blocked for over 2.5 years. Currently, news portals such as Oda TV and independent UK's Turkey branch are blocked from Turkey. So Turkey not only wants to regulate further the social media platforms, but there are considerable restrictions on media websites and news portals already in Turkey. So on top of this already restrictive environment, Turkey is introducing 2 important measures. One of them is, in addition to the blocking provision that the judges in Turkey on a daily basis block access to content, but in addition to blocking, they are also now proposing the removal of content. So content will not only be blocked from Turkey, but will be subject to removal orders. Therefore, news archives, former news articles involving political news, important political news, involving allegations of, for example, corruption, 1725 December graft allegations, past violations and administrative problems, anything that is critical of the current government or politicians will be subject to not only blocking but removal. And these decisions are unfortunately very easily issued by the judges in Turkey. And when you appeal against those decisions, in almost all cases, they are rejected. So the only thing the persons affected or news portals affected by these decisions can do is to take their cases to the Constitutional Court. But on the other hand, the Constitutional Court decided in 2.5 years for the Wikipedia platform related application. And for Sendika, Org, Siyasi Haber, Bir Gün, Cumhuriyet related applications, they were decided almost after 5 years of application. So it takes considerable amount of time to be able to get these websites or news content back to the internet. So this is one thing that the legislation will achieve if it goes through the parliament next week. Secondly, and more worryingly, the draft law demands social media platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to open offices in Turkey and have Turkish legal representation in Turkey. You might ask me, why are they trying to have legal representation in Turkey? Again, there are two substantial reasons for that. First, Turkey wants social media platforms such as Twitter to comply with every single blocking decision that they receive. Currently, these platforms do not necessarily comply with all the decisions that they receive from the Turkish authorities. By way of example, for example, Sözcü newspaper, Bir Gün newspaper, HDP, one of the opposition parties, and journalist Can Dündar, former MP Barış Yarkadaş, activist Barbaros Şansal, all of their Twitter accounts received in the past blocking decisions, complete blocking decisions to these accounts, Sözcü, Bir Gün, and the others. And Twitter chose not to comply with these decisions because Twitter believed that these accounts do not necessarily fall below the standards of their internal procedures and policies. So they choose not to block or shut down these accounts because they know that they're associated with media companies or journalists or activists. But if they do open an office in Turkey, they will be compelled to do so. So that will be really detrimental to freedom of expression and freedom of the press within Turkey. Secondly, they're asking them to keep the user data for their platforms locally in Turkey. So they're saying you have to bring your data to Turkey. I don't know if this is technically possible because majority of these platforms keep their data in the United States for legal reasons, for security and technical reasons. But the draft requires them to have their data here. And also that would mean that easy access to such data. The subscription data of their users will be subject to easier access by the Turkish authority. Maybe they will require them to provide the whole data to the Turkish authorities. So that's something that is the bill requires. But on the other hand, if the social media platforms decide not to come to Turkey and stay outside the Turkish jurisdiction, then they will face serious administrative fines, 10 million Turkish lira, which is more than 1 million pounds, I can say, up to 40 million Turkish lira fines they will be facing. And if they don't pay the fines, it will get worse for them because they will then be facing bandwidth restrictions. So they're not going to block completely access to the platforms, but they're going to ensure that they're unusable from Turkey. So, for example, again, by way of example, you are going to try to watch a video clip on the YouTube platform. It will stop after 3 seconds, or you will be able to send a tweet, but you won't be able to send photos. Even the WhatsApp platform may be affected. You will send a message, it might not receive the other end instantaneously. So all this social media platform activity for everyone, not just for those who oppose this bill or those who are critical of the government, even the government authorities' social media usage, everybody will be affected, and all the communications in Turkey will be disrupted because of the deployment of bandwidth restrictions from Turkey. So from whichever angle you look at this draft bill, it's bad news for Turkey and bad news for internet and social media development. My recommendation, especially to the social media platform operators, is not to come to Turkey under these current proposals, because this is not something which can be subject to negotiation or improvement by adding one paragraph to the law or changing slightly certain wording of the draft bill. No, there's nothing that can be done, and categorically the opposition parties also should reject this bill completely, because it does not provide any positive or any good regulation in it. Unfortunately, it passed through the Justice Commission last night. There were some heated discussions. Both JHP and HDP seriously opposed the bill, but because of the majority AKP has in the government, it did pass through the commission, and it is expected that it will come to the General Assembly of the Parliament next Tuesday. And before Bayram, before the holidays, it will, by Thursday morning, I expect this to become law, unless something unexpected happens. And for example, if the social media platforms such as Twitter or Facebook make an announcement that they're not considering coming to Turkey under these circumstances, that may be a powerful statement that might, force everyone to think further about these restrictions.
Mm-hmm. These are some serious consequences if this bill indeed passes, both for internet users in Turkey as well as these companies. There are some serious consequences, both in terms of freedom of expression and democratic standards. But as you know, I mean, and you provided the examples, there have been many internet restrictions, many websites that are already blocked, and removal of content and so forth. And Turkish users have found ways to access, Wikipedia for example, at some point with VPNs or Tor users. So if this bill passed, these still be alternatives in order to access content online?
Technology is a bit like water, it somehow finds a way to continue its path. So there will always be alternative ways of accessing these platforms. But we need to be aware of the fact that not everyone, not all internet users are capable of using these alternative ways of accessing the internet. Yes, it was somehow possible to use the Wikipedia platform during the 2.5 years period that it was blocked from Turkey. But again, the statistically numbers go down because not everyone is capable of using a VPN server, or maybe use it on your laptop, but not on your iPad or on your mobile phone or on your laptop. It is important to also note that Turkey already blocks access to a considerable number of VPN services as well. So that has started to take place. And they know that people are using these alternative methods. Tor browser is blocked, its website is blocked from Turkey, even though there is no judicial decision blocking access to the Tor website. But it's therefore not as easy as it was, say, in 2008 when YouTube was blocked from Turkey. Everybody knew how to change their DNS numbers, but the technology for blocking and restricting bandwidth developed, and Turkey unfortunately invested a lot in terms of these intrusive blocking systems, and they will do whatever they can to ensure that websites and platforms are inaccessible from Turkey. I'm just wondering, of course, if that happens from Turkey, whether the politicians, government officials will stop using these platforms as well, because when you look at statistically, it's not just myself or news portals that use these platforms. Government officials heavily rely on the social media platforms to disseminate their views and to share information with the public. So it's not a system that is designed to be used by those who are critical about the government, or only the opposition parties use. When you look at the, including President Erdogan and a lot of AKP politicians make excellent use of these platforms for communication, especially during the COVID-19 period. We might face a second, pandemic, and we might be forced to stay at home again from September. If that is the case, then the availability and accessibility of social media platforms will become even more crucially important. So it is a dangerous path that the government is leading towards, which will certainly be detrimental to Turkey's reputation and interest. On the other hand, of course, if the social media companies decide to come to Turkey, their reputation will be affected as well. They will be criticized by the likes of European Union, Council of Europe, even at the United Nations level. So if they come to Turkey, then they will be asked to go to Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, even less democratic countries compared to Turkey. So they will be compelled to go elsewhere and open offices as well, which is something I don't think they want to do in the very near future.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you also mentioned that it's not only the opposition or alternative media outlets that are using, social media platforms in order to disseminate their messages, but the government itself, especially President Erdogan, has used social media in order to reach younger voters, particularly. So I'm imagining this decision won't necessarily go well. I mean, he already has a very low popularity rate amongst these younger generations, and in addition to this bill, I'm assuming this is not going to go down well with those youngsters.
That's why I am thinking that they're gambling on this, and the whole system, the draft bill, is designed in the hope, with the hope that social media platforms will accept this and come in open offices in Turkey, because the government probably believes that the platform providers have no intention to lose their users from Turkey. I mean, of course, if they are blocked from Turkey, it doesn't necessarily mean that users will leave these platforms, because let's be honest, there is no alternative to Twitter, and Facebook is different than Twitter, Instagram is different, YouTube is used for different purposes. So, and there are no easy alternatives to these platforms. And we have seen back in 2014, when access to Twitter was blocked, Twitter received even more users because everyone was curious why this platform was blocked. During the pandemic, in March, April, May, we noticed an increase in the numbers of social media platform users. And so more people are watching YouTube news from YouTube, Twitter, increasing numbers of people are turning into Instagram. Even Facebook is more crowded compared to a few months ago. So that's how people obtain their news. Not many people watch television or buy newspapers nowadays. And because you don't want to wait till tomorrow morning when your newspaper is delivered, or you don't want to wait 8 o'clock news in the evening to find out what happened in Turkey or what happened in the world elsewhere, especially during the pandemic, because news was important, access to information was important, still crucially important, because things happen very quickly on a daily basis. So what do? We turn to social media platforms and we obtain our news and information from them. That's why these platforms are crucially important, and it would be really bad news, and it would be a dark period for Turkey if Turkey starts restricting access to these platforms from Turkey.
And just as a technical question, how long do these social media platform providers have once the bill passes to make their decision as to whether or not they're going to leave the Turkish market?
the social media platforms need to make a decision within 3 months. Within 3 months, they need to establish their offices from Turkey if they are coming to Turkey. And they need to find Turkish citizens as their legal representation. So it cannot be a US citizen sitting in San Francisco saying that I am the legal representative for Turkey. So they want somebody here. And that will be a very challenging and difficult job if they manage to find somebody to take that position. Because, I mean, we need to be aware of the realities of what happens in Turkey. It doesn't say this in the bill, but if you don't comply with a court order, say within 4 hours, then your offices can be raided in Turkey. You could be detained, even worse, you could be arrested, and then there will be allegations that you are a member of a certain terrorist organization or a member of a series of more than one terrorist organization at the same time. So it's not, Turkey, unfortunately, is an hostile place for internet and social media development at the moment. If it wasn't hostile towards internet and freedom of expression, these companies would have already invested in Turkey, and they would have invested. And I mean, it's not a social media platform, but we are experiencing and reading about the difficulties the Netflix platform in Turkey is currently facing, for example, because RETÜK, the Radio Television Supreme Board, is interfering with certain programs at the development production stage. So not only not after production, but at an early stage. So this is what we call prior restraint. You know, at an early stage, they're censoring content. So these companies really struggle to do business under these restrictive legal environment in Turkey.
Yes, so I guess we will be following the developments really closely as they will be coming in the upcoming weeks, and hopefully we'll get another chance to speak with you, Professor Akdeniz. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.